Good morning, Foxes, Badgers and Otters classes. It's Mrs. Martin here and I'm going to talk you through our writing lesson today. So yesterday you completed your plans for your hot task. So we are looking forward to seeing all of those fantastic ideas that you have. Today is your first of 2 lessons on writing your hot task. So don't feel like you need to write the whole story today, because you will also have Monday to write your second half, okay? So we're going to write the first half today, and then we will write the second half on Monday. Can you please write the date and the LO into your book for me, ready? So pause the video here and write your date and LO. Okay, so like every lesson, I would like you please to practice your story map. This is really important today because it will make sure that you've got all of those brilliant ideas and all of those super sentence starters that we've been looking at to include within your own hot task, within your own story. So pause the video here and practice your story map for me. Okay, let's have a think then about what was on our toolkit when we are writing a losing tale and what we might need to include within our hot task. So have a think for me now. Can you remember all of those sentence types that we looked at? Pause the video here and see how many things you can remember that we need to include. Okay, let's see how many of them you can remember. So in our Every Time I Write toolkit, we need to make sure that all of our sentences start with a capital letter. What else has to start with a capital letter within our story? Well done if you've realised that it's a proper noun, so any names. So in our model text, George and Grandma and Mum all began with a capital letter because they were our characters' names. So make sure when you're writing you've got capital letters at the start of every sentence and for your characters' names. We need to have our beautiful cursive handwriting. So that means our lovely joined handwriting that we've seen you all do within your English books at school. We need to remember to write in paragraphs, and what does each paragraph have to start with? Yes, we need our indent at the start, don't we? And we need to remember all of our punctuation as well. So every sentence should end with some type of punctuation. That might be a full stop. Sometimes it could be a question mark, and sometimes it could be an exclamation mark. Of course, our story is going to have some inverted commas as well when our characters are speaking. And we're going to have some commas, especially after our fronted adverbials. We need to make sure that we include interesting vocabulary. Am I going to read any saids in our story? Oh, I think we can all think of a better synonym than said. Maybe you could say shouted, grumbled, mumbled, whispered. So make sure you've got some brilliant vocabulary in there as well. So this is what we have to include within everything that we write. Let's have a think now about our losing tale toolkit. So some of the things that we have looked at together, we have done 2 pair sentences. So 2 pair sentences, remember, are when you've got 2 adjectives, a comma, and then another 2 adjectives. So for example, embarrassed and surprised, comma, guilty and horrified, comma. Let's make sure we include one of those within our story. We used a colon to introduce a list, so I will be very impressed to see any of those within our stories as well. We had speech, verb, action. So that was where we had our speech, but after it we said, what's the character? was doing. George, Mum shouted as she put her bag over her shoulder. Or perhaps, Grandma, I'm just getting your medicine, George announced, pouring his concoction into a glass bottle. We included some subordinate conjunctions, so remember those were our I saw a wubber words. Now you can always go back to the previous slides or have a look at your previous lessons to see those fantastic sentences you came up with and magpie them to go into your own story. And of course we use show, not tell. We weren't going to say that George was scared. We showed the reader that instead, with his knees quaking underneath him, with his hands trembling, with his heart racing at 1,000,000 beats an hour. So let's see if you can include some show, not tell as well. So we have looked at 2 pair sentences, colons to introduce a list, speech, verb, action, subordinate conjunctions, and show, not tell. The other things that were included that you might want to include within your story were fronted adverbials, emotion, comma, so that were sentences like exhausted, comma, anxious, comma, worried, comma, and of course our Eddingly openers that we've looked at lots before as well. So now it is entirely over to you. I would recommend having your plan in front of you so you know what you are going to write about. I would also recommend that you might want the model text in front of you as well. If I were writing my hot task, for each paragraph I would read the model text, I would read what I wrote last time before I wrote my own paragraph. Over to you then, guys. Have a go at writing the first half of your losing tale today for me. So that's probably your opening, your build-up, and your problem. We really, really look forward to reading the fantastic stories that you come up with.